Welcome, Ghouls and Ghostettes, to the first ever Spooktober movie review. Today, we're going to be looking at a movie called Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. This movie was made in 1990. Now, the first thing I want to say about this movie is there are really no big actors or actresses in this movie. The setting is, it takes place in a mill in Maine, of course, with Stephen King. It's a textile mill that makes cotton, and there are a bunch of rats in the textile mill, and deep down below the cellars lives this giant rat-bat combination of a creature that kills people. And the first thing I want to say is, when I was little, this movie scared the shit out of me, and there are certain scenes that I remember as an adult as, what was that movie? I remember what was it about, and once the internet was invented, I was able to find out, what the movie actually was, because when the movie was made, I was only like 7 years old, and by the time it debuted on TV, I was probably like, 10 years old. It probably took till like 1993 for it to show it on film, and I remember watching it, after school sometime and being so scared. It's a really good movie. Now to start, the movie takes place from Stephen King's short story called The Graveyard Shift. And the actual short story is kind of disappointing because it's only like a 10-page story. Not that it ain't bad, but the movie definitely trumps it, which is the opposite. Usually books are better than movies, but the book really does no justice because it has to be told within like 10, 12 pages. Whereas the movie is a lot more slower. It builds characters and whatnot. And goes from there. So, watching this movie as an adult, I really enjoy the movie, and what's kind of sad is, on IMDb, Internet Movie Database, it gets like a 4.2 out of 10, which, to be honest, I'm shocked. It's a lot better than that. It is a cult classic, again, here we go, talking about cult classics again, but the movie itself is at least a 6, if not maybe a 6.5. 7 is pushing it. But there are no main actors or actresses in this movie. Yes, these actors, I've looked them all up, and they continue to do work until today. But their roles, there are no Brad Pitts, there are no AAA blockbuster title actors or actresses. But it doesn't mean it's bad. I mean, the acting in the movie it's average. It's not too bad, but it's not great. So basically, this movie takes place in Maine. Stephen King always picks Maine for his stories to take place in an old textile mill that was built in the 1800s. And they have an infestation problem with rats. So basically, the story takes place, the main character, he's a drifter, he's a college graduate, and he just travels the country basically, and works for a short amount of time at each place he works. And he accepts a position in this textile mill, and basically does like grunt work, like blue-collar type work. Now, what I will tell you is 2 characters shine in this movie, and one being the foreman or the plant manager. I don't know the actor's name. I did look him up, but he didn't really do anything great for me to tell you guys. It's so-and-so, but the character name is Warwick. He's the plant manager. The dude does a great job. He has an accent, like a northeastern type accent. He's probably the best actor in the series. He's a nutball. He's crazy. And I do want to tell you before I go on, there are actually going to be moderate spoilers. Usually I give minor spoilers, but I'm just reviewing the movie overall. But he's in this movie, and he does a great job. Now, who really steals the show is the actor named Brad Dourif, plays the exterminator trying to get rid of these rats, the infestation. And most of you may say, who the hell is Brad Dourif? Well, Brad Dourif's one of those actors. He never got to the level of, say, like, again, Brad Pitt, or Nicolas Cage, or any really big actor. But he's one of those actors who is so versatile that he just never got established as, like, a big name. And I think he's okay with that, though, because he probably makes a lot of money, and he doesn't have to worry about, like, the paparazzi following him. He plays the exterminator in this movie. Now, you may think, Brad Dourif, who the hell is Brad Dourif? Speaking to you guys, you guys probably watch just mainstream movies. If you watched Lord of the Rings, which is a big blockbuster hit, in Two Towers and Return of the King, he plays Grima Wormtongue. That's Brad Dourif. He plays the advisor to the King of Rohan. So, and he's a bad guy. That's what's cool about Brad Dourif. He could play any title or any role. He could play a good guy or a bad guy. So he's the advisor. So next time you pop that in, Two Towers or Return of the King, that's Brad Dourif. But anyway, he really steals the show in this aspect because he's killing these rats, and he basically goes to the main character for the series, and he tells him a story. And Brad Dourif's character, the rat exterminator, tells a story about that he served in Vietnam, and that once he got out of Vietnam, he knew what his true passion was, and that was to kill rats, to kill vermin, to kill mice. But he especially has a passionate hatred for rats, and he tells a very bone-tingling, bone-chilling story about how the VC or Viet Cong, when they captured the Americans, what they would do. And again, watch this movie because I'm not doing it justice, but I'll explain his story because he's very passionate, and you'll see the actor in the scene as he's explaining it. A tear goes down his cheek, and it's an actual tear because Brad Dourif's kick-ass. He's a great actor, but I digress. Basically, what the Vietnam soldiers used to do to the American soldiers to get information out of them, or just to be cruel, would pin an American soldier down onto the ground and basically crucify him, arms and legs, and pin their arms and legs into the ground like Jesus Christ, except instead of being up on a cross, they would be vertical on the ground. So they would be basically dug into the dirt with their arms and their feet impaled. And the next thing they would do is they would take these rats that haven't eaten for like a week, but they would train these rats to eat dead American soldiers. This is all true, by the way. I mean, the movie, the person who directed the movie definitely did his research. Would take these rats and feed them dead American soldier muscle or meat, and these rats would get a fixation of the taste, and that's what they would crave. They would then take these rats who crave them, human meat, and starve them for a week. And what they would do with these rats is they would take them to a crucified soldier, American soldier on the ground, and these Viet Cong would insert a small, like 4 to 6 inch incision on the abdomen of this American soldier, and place the rat next to the blood. And sometimes the rat would start, it's terrible, but start digging into the abdomen and the guts of the American soldier. And what really is horrible is if the rat didn't comply, they would take a hot pot lid and burn the back end of the rat to where the rat would try to escape, and the only way forward, this rat was contained to where it couldn't move except but forward. If the rat didn't comply, they applied a hot pot lid to the back end of the rat to where the rat would try to escape into the abdomen of the American soldier. And I'm not really going to go into it further because it's disgusting, but you can guess what happened, that basically the rat would eat its way through the entrails of the soldier and eventually kill him, which is horrible. But the way Brad Dourif explains the scene, it's incredible. If you haven't watched it, you have to watch it. He does a bang-up job. But basically, the rest of the movie, it's a short movie. They go through, and the object of the movie is they have to get rid of these rats, and they have to clean up the basement of this mill because it's about to be shut down. It's about to be foreclosed because of the dangers in the mill being the rats. And not to go on further, but character after character gets killed until the plant manager Warwick encounters the giant rat bat, and he's crazy. Dude's pretty awesome. He's actually one of my favorite villains of all time in a B-list, B-type movie, and he attacks the rat bat with like a knife, and he does some damage to it before he's killed, but the main character basically escapes at the end. He lost all his colleagues and coworkers. In fact, one of the coworkers that he worked with was a girl that he liked, and they were kind of like, they weren't dating, but you could see it was going there, and she ends up getting killed by Warwick. And he escapes, basically, but that's the movie. The book is, like I said, is kind of disappointing. The movie actually does the book justice, because if you read the short story, you can read it in 5 or 10 minutes, and the movie does a lot better than the book. But I'm just shocked that the book, or I'm sorry, the movie itself is like rated like a 4 point something. There are plot holes. It doesn't really explain why the plant manager, he does go nuts. He goes insane and just starts attacking anything. They don't do a good job explaining that, but it doesn't matter. It's a great movie. It's a great B movie, man. If you haven't watched it, watch it. You won't be disappointed. And I don't own this movie, but it's one movie I would like to own. So maybe it'll be a future Christmas present for me. But hey guys, thanks for joining me for the first Spooktober movie review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys later. Thank you.